Okay, just to start off, for the record, just say your name, spelling, and title, please.
Sure, it's Brian Gordon, Brian Gordon, Gordon. I'm a principal at Applied Analysis.
Okay, and so let's talk about tourism. So right now, according to what we are hearing from the airport as well as LVCVA, tourism is down in the valley. What are you noticing as some of the contributing factors to leading to that?
Yeah, look, I think when we talk about sort of where we're tracking and where we're trending from a tourism standpoint, it's hard not to remember sort of where we've come from. We saw some pretty robust numbers in terms of the visitor volume, the people coming through the airport, the spending of visitors that come to Las Vegas. All of that has been really heightened in the post-COVID environment. And so we're having a little bit of a settling in, I suppose, from where we were. Obviously, topics like inflation and tariffs and all of these sorts of things are top of mind for folks. And so maybe that's also playing into people's overall confidence levels and willingness to travel. But at the end of the day, in the last 12 months, we've still had over 40 million people come to Las Vegas. So pretty impressive. But yes, we are ticking down just slightly from where we were a year ago.
So I think some people are asking, is this expected to be one of our worst summers for hospitality in the Vegas Valley?
Oh gosh, I don't think so. I mean, look, I'm a native Las Vegan. I remember post 9/11. I remember the Great Recession. I think we've had some pretty tough times, including the height of the COVID era in 2020. So there have been some really difficult summers here in Southern Nevada. I don't think we're on any sort of trajectory where the market's going to fall out or we're going to repeat some of those sort of disaster periods in terms of our tourism economy. I think again, maybe we're seeing a little bit of a settling in from where we've been because of some of that overheated type of activity that we've experienced over the last couple of years. But I think overall, we'll continue to see folks come into this market. We'll continue to see them occupy hotel rooms and eat at restaurants and go out shopping and enjoy entertainment offerings that exist here.
And it looks like I've been speaking with a few resorts or businesses, and they're trying to work around it, whether it's eliminating parking fees or eliminating resorts fees or even just lowering prices on menus. Is that something that will kind of help? Is that something that's standard this time of year in general? Or what do you think about those different activities we're seeing from different groups?
Yeah, look, I think if we looked back over history, you'd see a lot of ebbing and flowing, and you'd see the creativity of resort operators and how they bring people into this community. Sometimes we'll see a shift between fly-in patrons versus drive-in market, and we'd see more Californians coming in for greater deals and better access at lower price points. And so the creativity of those operators, as well as the folks that market Las Vegas, I mean, they just find ways to get people in here. The phrase of, more heads in beds still applies. They try to get folks in at all costs. And so, sure, there might be a pricing dynamic that gets adjusted, but at the end of the day, I think we'll continue to see a number of people migrate into the Las Vegas area going throughout this summer season.
Are you noticing a difference in the trend of who's coming to town? Is it more of, I'm hearing from some businesses, hey, I used to get more people from Canada and Australia, but those are not my clientele anymore. Are you noticing any difference of the type of people who are coming to the Valley?
Yeah, look, I think if we took a look back at least at incoming flights and where people are originating from, yes, I think we've probably seen some adjustments in a couple of key areas. You mentioned them right there. Our friends to the north in Canada, we've seen a little bit of a slowdown there. But remember, international travel overall, somewhere in that 10 to 12% of all the folks that come into this market. And then within each major country of where folks are coming from, a couple of percentage points from each one of those. And then maybe, some of those are off 1 or 2 points overall. And so, yes, it plays a role. They are important. They bring a lot of spending potential with them. They tend to stay a little bit longer because they're traveling from greater distances. We wish we had more of them, but we just haven't seen that play out. Obviously, there's a lot of international talk going on between tariffs. There's some international conflicts taking place in the world. So some of that is just going to continue to evolve as some of those things play out over time, and we'll just see where that heads. But I think the fact that we'll continue to see, a relatively stable performance over the next few months, maybe not a blockbuster like we've seen in the past, but still relatively stable, I think will pay some dividends for a number of the hotel casino operators that are responsible for controlling a lot of that hotel room inventory.
Who's getting hit, I guess, the worst? Is it the smaller businesses? Is it the casinos? Is it everyone kind of the same? Or who gets impacted the most with the lower visitation usually?
Oh, look, I think it's a little bit of a sliding scale. I think, particularly at the top end of the market, I think you may just see some pricing adjustments there. Not the end of the world, but a lot of those folks are less impacted by what's happening more broadly. And then I think as you sort of move down the ladder, maybe you see some customers that are migrating within different spectrums or different price points. And so you'll see consumers look to take advantage of some of those maybe discounted offerings that might exist around town. And so I think it's more of a shifting that tends to go on within the consumer base. And so, we'll just see how that shakes out and what that ultimately means in terms of, major spending categories like room rates and gaming related activity and entertainment and shopping and dining and all of those sorts of things. There may be some adjustments here and there, but like I said, overall, I think it's going to be relatively stable, even if we are at a little bit of a lower base from where we were just a year ago.
And that's what I wanted to ask you. I mean, what does this all mean when you have lower tourism numbers? What could be the overall impact once, let's say, the summer ends or at the end of the year?
Yeah, look, we've got a number of, special events and concerts and all sorts of things that people are coming into town for later this month. I think Beyonce's got 2 dates. There's some other concerts that are happening at smaller venues, not necessarily at Allegiant Stadium. And then you've got a mega fight in September. So there's a lot of draws that are bringing folks in. But to the extent that we start to see some compression on pricing and those sorts of things, it's just, it drops to the bottom line for a lot of folks. And operators are really creative when it comes to managing their businesses. If you can think about what they did coming out of the COVID-19 era, they've really found a way to become more efficient. And so, that may be where they look to streamline their operations where they can, and ultimately stabilize the business that they're in for the long run, and probably be business as usual for the most part. But I'm sure there'll be some creative approaches to try and balancing all of that over the summer months.
So 2 questions here. This is not a situation, it sounds like from what you're saying, where we're going to see businesses and casinos or even, let's say, the souvenir store. This isn't the situation where we're going to see people shutting down shop. And then if you could answer that part. And then the other part is, what is the impact of those of us who just live here?
Yeah, look, I think every business is different. Everybody's business situation is different. I just don't see this mass sort of fallout that's going to create a bunch of casualties in the local market in terms of business operations. Sure, maybe for some of them it's tighter margins and those sorts of things. But look, we're still talking about tens of millions of people coming to the Las Vegas area. And I think they'll continue to spend money in a pretty significant way, maybe not at the level that we've always experienced, or at least experienced over the last couple of years, because it's a little bit of a different market dynamic. But, a couple percentage points at the top line, yes, it has real effects for businesses, but I just don't see it being catastrophic for everybody across the board. That's just something that's just not even on the radar from our perspective. And then, for locals that live here, a lot of folks are supported by the tourism industry. A third of the workers here are either directly or indirectly supported by tourism related activity. That's impactful. There's no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, maintaining those jobs and having a place to go to work and serving the visitors that do come to the Las Vegas area is going to be critically important. I just, don't see any massive fallout that we should be concerned about at the moment.
So we're not seeing any big layoffs or anything like that because of the tourism numbers at this point.
I don't think we've seen anything announced as of yet. Businesses will always continue to right size relative to the demand that they experience. And so, sure, there may be some adjustments that take place here or there, but as of today, I'm not aware of any massive restructurings for any major corporations or even small businesses for that matter.
Great. Thank you so much. Is there anything you think we missed at this point?
No, I think we covered it. Unless you think there's something else, Tiffany, I'm happy to answer, but I think that covers the high points anyway.
Let me check here in my notes, but I believe you. Okay. So in general, not really a reason for anyone to worry.
Well, look, I think we always want to be mindful of where the economy's at and where things are headed. But at the moment, I don't think we've seen any massive adjustments in terms of the overall profile of visitors coming to the market or the number of folks that are migrating in. Yes, we are down slightly from where we were a year ago, but I just don't see it as a devastating blow to the local economy.
Great. Thank you so much.